Okay, this next set is called Fumai Choi. Fumai means the tiger's tail, so Fumai Choi is a tiger's tail punch. Anytime you see tiger's tail Fumai, it generally indicates something done behind you where your tail is, right? So the Fumai Choi is a punch to the rear. It's like somebody's coming up to bear hug me, and as they do, I drop into my stance, extend a little bit, and then I pivot, and I'm hitting right into their groin, so directly behind me. Go the other side. And so it's usually done, practiced as a series of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? From the front. 1, 2, 3. So it's kind of a basic self-defense move, kind of like these motions from people's Selam Tao form. It's the equivalent. And it's considered a minor set because there's no two-man exercise that goes with this really, other than maybe somebody trying to hold me and I hit them. And there's no version on the dummy because I'm not going to stand with my back to my dummy and hit my dummy. So it's just a solo set. So they use this to teach an important footwork pattern, the compass step. So the whole set usually looks like this. You start it out, so 1, 2, 3, and on the third punch, I allow that momentum to swing me around, face completely the other direction, and I punch. So then I do it again. 1, 2, 3 would swing me around so I can punch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If I start with my left hand, I keep cycling with my left hand, I'll turn one way, then I'll turn back, and I stay in the frame of the camera. If I alternate, if I go 1, 2, 3 with my left hand and turn, and then 1, 2, 3 with my right hand and turn, then I do the exercise. I can go all the way up and down the floor in a line doing this pivot step or this compass step. And so, important step. I mean, you're facing, you can tell something's coming from behind you, and so you use your momentum, you swing around and reface to however extent I want to turn. Could just be turning 90 degrees. I could be turning 180. This is one of the few times in Kulo Wing Chun, usually the pivot is on the ball of the foot. I think I've talked about it before. This is one of the few times where you actually pivot on the heel because you're planting that foot. You're using it as the pivot point, and then you're spinning on that base so you can turn. So I can turn however much I need to with this compass step. And notice, I'm not crossing my feet to turn. I'm using my weight shift, throwing my body weight to pivot on my heel and just spin. That's a proper compass step. It's not this, right? It's a spin. Okay? So that's Fumai Choi. Now, Wing Chun Boxing version I don't take from that, it's similar, but from 52 blocks, like Burley teaches pivot step in 52 blocks, he also calls it a compass step. The idea here is I would turn the same way, but I take a little step, a padded step, I plant my foot, and now I'm going to pivot more on the ball of my foot, swing around, and reface, right? So I step and spin, step and spin, step and spin. So you can see it's very similar. And then we add a jab to that. So I step, bang, step, bang, step, bang. Notice I'm still not crossing my feet because I have no power to punch. If I cross my feet, it's a plant my foot, use my hips, spin my body, and that spinning motion adds to that punch. I'm spinning my hips this way, and that's exactly how my punch is going. So on Bob, I'd be facing, I'd step just a little bit to gain some leverage, and then I'd turn. Okay? Going that way. Right? Step. And then I'm pinning, spinning. If I want to go the other direction, I do it differently. So this was spinning this way. What if I want to spin that way? I could plant my lead foot and do the same thing, but then I'm crossing my body. I lose power. I can't use this punch. There's no power there. If I tried to punch from my rear hand, then the mechanics don't work as well. So in 52 blocks, it's this way. I'm here. Now I take that little padded step with this foot, I plant it, I throw my hips, and I pivot. So rather than pivoting on my lead foot, pivot on my rear foot. Turn. So I'm here, I step, turn. I step, turn. Step, turn. Step, turn. Now I put a rear punch with that one. So I'm going to step. That turn is just like I was pivoting to throw a punch. So I'm going to use that, right? I step, bam. I step, bam. Step, bam. Step, bam. Step, bam. So on Bob, over here, instead of stepping this direction, I step that direction. So I step, come out of it. Right? And this kind of pivot is a close range technique. Obviously I'm not going to do it from way up here. There's no need to. But if we kind of engaged, we're kind of in a tie-up, he's kind of pushing on me, and I'm getting away from him. Depending on how the force is going, my body sensitivity, if I feel everything's going that way, I'm going to step that way. So I spin out of it, right? Boom! I'm faced off with Bob. He's pressing me. The force is going that way. I'm going to step that way. So we're here. I step, spin out of it. So that's how you use that compass step in Wing Chun Boxing. And the Choi, Wing Chun version, is this swinging to reface. That's Choi.